Here's what's coming up on the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan.
In stage two, it has to do with how do you preserve your assets against large losses and how do you create dependable income that's going to last for as long as you live.
And also what the fees are paying. Not only the visible fees that you're paying your advisor, which you might know or might not know, but the invisible fees that most people don't understand that are in portfolios, which are mutual fund fees, trading costs, etc.
Exactly. Well, and those fees can eat away at your portfolio just like a big loss can. And the key, we think always, is having everything in writing.
We were able to get them excess cash flow monthly of $43.43 above the $10,000 they needed for their budget, which meant we got them an extra $52,000 a year in net annual excess cash flow. What can you do with an extra $52,000? A lot of incredible things in retirement.
You're watching the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan, Sacramento's retirement television.
Welcome to this week's show.
We have 30 minutes of great information designed just for you.
Don't go anywhere. Make yourselves very comfortable because the show starts right now.
Hi, and welcome to this week's Author's Corner. As usual, I'm here with Jim and Dan. We have some great questions this week. Today, guys, it's all about the stages of retirement, the two stages of retirement. And Jim, I'm going to begin with you. That first stage is asset accumulation. Tell me more about this.
When you're younger, you have less money saved. You're trying to accumulate assets so that when you retire, you can use those assets for income. You're able to take more risk. You have a salary. You have time to recover if you have a large loss. So during that stage of your life, you can place your money in types of assets that are going to grow. And if you lose some money, well, it's a bummer, but you still have a job and you're not using those assets for income like you would be in retirement.
You know, so it kind of transitioning to stage two, which is asset preservation and income distribution. This is what you guys specialize in. And I always say there's specialists out there. There's a lot of folks that can help you in the accumulation stage, but now you're getting close to retirement. Just like a doctor, you can have your general physician, but then you need a specialist. What is the specialist piece with stage two?
Definitely. In stage two, it has to do with how do you preserve your assets against large losses and how do you create dependable income that's going to last for as long as you live. It's that simple, and that's completely opposite of how you invest your money in stage one. So stage two is going to be way more conservative, less volatility. It's going to allow you now to provide safety that is what will get you that income that won't run out and you can feel comfortable, because stage one and stage two are exactly opposite of each other. And more importantly, what you said is, advisors really either have to specialize as an accumulator or they have to specialize as a preservation expert and an income distribution expert.
You know, and I'll bet sometimes you get great savers, right? And they come into your office and now you have to tell them, hey, you got to turn on the faucet yourself and start spending your money. Is that a difficult transition for some people?
Oh, for a lot of people, because you have to look at people that save money. How did they get there? They got there not by spending a lot. They got there by being frugal, being conservative. And they like nice things and they go on trips and they buy cars and houses, but they don't like to waste money. And once they accumulate it, especially if you stop working and stop saving, it becomes the thought process of using up the money that you saved, and it's very scary to a lot of people. So we have to design a plan in writing that shows them it's okay to do that.
Jim, let's talk about the timing of this transition from one and two. How important is that?
Well, you know, when you're getting ready to retire, you're usually in your 50s or 60s. So that is the timing. If you're 5 years away, maybe 7 years away, you should start thinking about how do I start to convert from asset accumulation into asset preservation and potentially income distribution. Because as Dan just mentioned, those stages are polar opposites of each other. You're doing different things. You're trying to achieve different things. And the biggest mistake retired people make is they look at their investments only and they don't have a plan in place. There's no way we believe you can invest money successfully unless you have a full, written, comprehensive plan in place before you invest the money so you know what you're doing.
Hey, let's take a minute and talk about those pieces, Jim, because there are multiple pieces in that plan. Just like you said, it's not the investments. What are some of the other pieces of that plan you guys put together?
Well, first thing you have to do is you have to start with the budget. How much income are you going to need on an after-tax basis once you retire? Then you have to understand risk. How much money am I willing to lose in dollars and cents? Not whether I'm conservative or moderate or aggressive. How much money am I willing to lose? Number three, you have to determine how much income are you going to need each month and each year for as long as you live. Will the income run out? Will it go up? Will it go down? Is the income guaranteed? Is it not guaranteed? What can I spend? And then you have to determine if you want to leave money to your beneficiaries, How do I do that? Can I actually spend my money and leave money to my beneficiaries as well? And the answer to the question is, as long as you have a comprehensive plan, you're dealing with advisors that specialize in that skill set, you have a really good chance.
And this is a full plan that you make for somebody, right? They can leave there with the plan in their hands, right?
That's exactly right. I mean, it's a binder. It looks overwhelming when you first see it, but it's not. It's really easy to understand, but you have to go through an educational process because we're going to change the way you think about money because you cannot just invest your money. It doesn't work when you're in retirement. You have to have a plan in place before you invest those assets.
Dan, I have about a minute left here. Let's talk about some of the mistakes that happen in this transition.
I think in the transition, there's a few big mistakes. Number one is people take far too much risk because if you suffer a big loss 5 to 10 years before you retire or in the first 10 to 15 years after you retire, there's a high probability things are not going to work out for you. And we know this, but clients just don't know anyone to turn to that'll help fix that. That's the whole goal. So I think risk is number one. The second is what Jim was talking about, not having an actual plan in place that'll show their income, their fees, how much tax they're going to pay, how much net income they're going to have per month, all the legacy. So those are the two. Then the third is not creating a high level of dependable income that will last for as long as they live, that they can guarantee they won't run out, because what's the biggest single fear? It's that they're going to run out of money. Their second biggest fear, they're going to suffer a big loss. So you have to be able to put those fears aside by creating a written plan that will then help them avoid those two things.
Dan, Jim, thanks so much. Hey, if you want more information about anything we spoke about here today, give us a call in the office at 916-452-7325 or head to our website. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Jim Files, CEO of Peak Financial, your local resource for retirement and investment planning, acting as fiduciaries for advisory clients. We're offering you a free, worry-free retirement roadmap, including a 15-minute initial call, a face-to-face meeting, a second opinion about your money, a customized retirement income plan, our Amazon best-selling book. You can walk away and keep it all free, no pressure, no obligation, guaranteed. There's no risk and there's no cost. Call now.
You're watching the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan, Sacramento's retirement television.
On this week's segment of We Fix Your Money, you're going to meet Carl and Lori. Both are age 60 and they want to retire in 3 years, but they have no idea if they can. They've saved a lot of money, but they're scared about making financial mistakes, like taking too much risk or running out of money in retirement. Now over to Dan and Jim to tell you how they helped Carl and Lori.
Thanks, Mark. We're really happy to be here this week presenting this hypothetical case study. We think this is probably one of the most exciting sections and segments of the show because it will allow you to see how planning could be done. You might see a lot of the same things that you feel in your finances that Carl and Lori could have been feeling. So for example, this couple, they weren't retired yet. They wanted to retire in 3 years. They're not getting pensions, so you might not be getting pensions, and you wonder where in the heck are you going to get the income from your assets that'll provide you enough money to not have to worry when you're retired. They have two brokers. They're moderate investors. They want to specifically plan for themselves first and make sure they have enough money per month when they retire to live a great retirement, and then they want to leave whatever's left to the beneficiaries. But they want the plan for themselves first, beneficiary second, and we find most of our clients want it that way. They want a written plan, everything about their money in writing. They definitely want to lower risk because being 3 years away from retirement, they know if they suffer a big loss now, they might not be able to retire on time or might have to work a lot longer. They want guaranteed income. Some of their friends have big pensions, $100,000 or more pensions. They want that same feeling. They want pension-like income that will never end. And they want to stop worrying about their money so much, especially being so close to retirement. They want to stop worrying about how in the heck are they going to replace their paychecks. They want to stop worrying about losses and then their money running out because of suffering a loss. They don't want to have to worry about paying too much in taxes or not understanding their fees. And they'd love to be able to leave money to the beneficiaries as long as they can live a really good retirement. So this is kind of like what we see of most people that come in with that type of asset base and what some of their goals are.
And that's exactly right, Dan. In planning, which is different than just investing, is that we are basically architecting plans based on the objectives our clients are setting forth to us. What do you want your money to do for you, Mr. and Mrs. Client, and how do we provide a solution? For in this example, we're going to give you how they were positioned when they were first met with us. They had $200,000 in the bank, which was appropriate. We felt that was really the right figure. They had $3 million in their growth bucket. They had nothing in their principal protected or lifetime income bucket. When we modified the plan in blue, we kept the $200,000 in the bank. we decreased their growth bucket because they wanted to reduce their risk and they wanted to increase their income, so we had to reallocate assets. We put $1.5 million of that money in the principal protected and lifetime income bucket, same $3.2 million. Then what we did, we said, okay, let's do an assessment. Let's look at how much risk you have in your portfolio and how much you're likely going to lose if we have a market crash. We use outside third-party companies to figure this out for us. They were going to lose approximately 32.5% of their money if the market crashed by 50%. So they're going to lose 32.5%, which was stunning to them because they thought they were conservatively positioned. That would mean they would lose over $1 million if that happened, and they would need a 48% rate of return to recover that 32% loss. Again, in blue, when we restructured the portfolio, we reduced the risk to losing 5.6%, not 32.5%. They would still lose money, $179,000 in this example, but not $1 million. And the key here is we only need a 6% rate of return to recover that 5.6% loss, which is much easier to do, Dan, than where they were before.
Exactly. When you look at the risk reduction as far as the recovery gain, it's 8 times more risk they had in their plan before. And it just is prudent. They kept the money in the bank. They split the money between growth and protected assets and income. And it was a great plan. You could think of yourself in this situation. You're probably saying, yeah, that would make sense to me as well, especially when we start looking at the income plan side. So let's look at then an income assessment and a fee assessment. So their income was right now, they're not taking any income from their assets. They didn't even know how to plan income for their assets. No guaranteed lifetime income coming in. So as we redid their plan, we're projected to take out $157,000 of income from their assets after 3 years when they retire, with $104,000, 2/3 of that income being guaranteed for as long as they live. Think about that. When you have that much chunk of an income, they can feel like that's a pension that's going to come in for as long as at least one of them is living. And we used about half of the investable assets for the guaranteed lifetime income. Then you look at their fees, the way we structure their plan, they weren't bad before. They were 2.02%. We see a lot of people with a lot higher fees than that. We got their total fees in writing down to 1.35%. And over the next 30 years, that means they can plan to save over $600,000 in fees based on their new plan, which is awesome because that's what helps either give them more income on an annual basis or potentially leaves more money to the beneficiaries when you can reduce your fees. So it's just a great way to do the plan.
And consumers don't understand their fees. There's one thing to pay your advisor maybe 1% per year, but this includes all those hidden fees that consumers just don't understand they have inside of a portfolio. So then we had to figure out, okay, how are we going to maintain their budget? How do we get them enough after-tax income? So we actually got them gross income of over $17,000, almost $18,000 a month. Their taxes, state and federal, are going to be $3,600 a month. Net after-tax income monthly, $14,343. They had a budget of $10,000 a month. That's all their spending habits. We were able to get them excess cash flow monthly of $43.43 above the $10,000 they needed for their budget, which meant we got them an extra $52,000 a year in net annual excess cash flow. What can you do with an extra $52,000? A lot of incredible things in retirement.
You can do anything you want with it. You can save it, you can spend it, you can invest it, but it's what specifically defines financial freedom. It's not the amount of assets you have that we judge your financial freedom and your financial wellness. We judge your financial security by how much net excess monthly cash flow you have. You could have $5 million of assets and only have $1,000 extra. You could have $3 million of assets and have $4,300 extra. The person that has $4,300 extra is in a better financial position. So when you make sure the clients are in a great position financially, they then always want to know what's going to happen to my beneficiaries. What about my legacy? So what if then we use very conservative numbers and assume the portfolio averages about a 4% annual compounded rate of return. The bank earns 1%. The real estate they own, their house, earns 1.5%. And they spend all the income. All that income we're giving them, they spend it. They don't save any of it throughout their retirement. Well, by age 85, they would have taken out $4.17 million of income from their assets and they would have spent that money. That's great. It's their plan. And then by age 85, if they pass away, if they just earn 4% on their portfolio, 1% in the bank, 1.5% on real estate, they still by accident get to leave $4.5 million to the beneficiaries. So they get $4.1 million they spent, which covered more than they needed, and $4.5 million still passes on to the beneficiaries. Awesome way to do a plan. Jim, maybe summarize it for everybody.
Well, these clients, like all of our clients, want a full written plan. That's exactly what we did for them. We increased their income. We got them enough guaranteed income to maintain their lifestyle and what they wanted. We reduced their risk significantly. We reduced the fees significantly. We showed them how to efficiently manage their taxes. Guess what? They worried a lot less, and they were super excited now to retire.
So a couple like this can now plan on making that retirement in 3 years versus worrying the entire time. They can feel very comfortable that things are going to work out as they planned. Back to you, Mark.
Wow, what great results from a great plan. Your situation may not be exactly like Carl and Lori's. You may be single or already retired, but you can see how planning can help you attain your goals and alleviate some of the worries about money. If this is something you'd like help with, give us a call right now in the office at 916-452-7325 or visit our website. Now stay tuned for a great complimentary offer.
Hi, I'm Dan Ahmed, president of Peak Financial. We have a great free offer for you. We're offering you a free, worry-free retirement roadmap that includes a 15-minute initial call, a face-to-face meeting, a second opinion about your money, a customized retirement income plan, our Amazon best-selling book. You can walk away and keep it all for free. No pressure, no obligation, guaranteed. Call the phone number on the screen or go to our website to claim your free offer. You have nothing to lose, there's no risk, and there's no cost. Call now.
You're watching the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan, Sacramento's retirement television.
Welcome back to the program. Now let's listen in on the Peak Financial Freedom Hour with Jim and Dan.
Jim, great to be back with this week's Peak Financial Radio Show, our Freedom Hour we call it. And we're going to take a couple questions that we've heard in the past and try to answer because we think a lot of these questions will be very pertinent to a lot of people listening right now. So let's look at Jack. I think his big question is about taxes. Every year, my non-IRA assets create a huge amount of income I have to claim on my income tax return. This happens even if I don't need the income and even if I lose money for the year. I don't understand how I can lose money and still have to pay taxes. Have you seen this? How can I fix it? My tax guy and broker aren't any help.
Well, that can happen for a variety of reasons. I mean, you could have dividend-paying stocks, for example, and it's paying dividends to you. You have to pay taxes on it year end. But like last year in 2022, the market went down significantly. You also lost money on that stock. So you not only pay taxes on the dividends you receive, but the stock is down 20, 30, or 40%. So it's kind of a double whammy.
Definitely. So you basically lose money because if you have to claim the dividends on your tax return, you have to pay tax on that. So you lose money that way. And if you're not spending the money, it doesn't make a lot of sense to have to claim that type of income on your tax return. If you're spending it, it's okay. But if you're not spending it, it's a whammy because now where do you get that money to pay for the taxes? You usually don't take it out of your portfolio. You take it out of the bank or you take it out of your monthly income, and that hurts even worse.
Yeah. Exactly.
So that's tough. So it can be fixed because we have a lot of clients that come in and they have enough income from other sources and they have portfolios that are non-IRA and they could generate a lot of dividends, capital gains, etc. We're able to use specific investment strategies, tax planning strategies that will allow them to defer 100% of the gains and the dividends and the interest that they're earning inside of their asset base and not have to pay tax until they use it in the future.
Yeah, the key about that is that people think you have to have an IRA to do that, but you don't have to. This is a non-IRA example. You can actually structure that type of investment so you can defer those taxes, and people don't really understand that.
Exactly, and there's one more benefit that they can get in an IRA. If you leave your IRA to your beneficiaries, you have to have the beneficiaries take that money out over 10 years or less. If we use a non-IRA tax-deferred type of plan, the beneficiaries can take it out over their lifetime. So it's a great way to plan for yourself as well as for your beneficiaries. How about let's look at Holly. She says, lately the crazy world around us has made me examine my portfolio a lot more because of losses I've had over the last couple of years. I have mostly stock mutual funds and I think I have more risk than I thought. And I think I am paying more fees than I was told. Could these things be true? Well, we find, in a lot of cases this could be true, and I think a lot of people feel this way. They've been told to have a diversified portfolio of stock mutual funds and or bond mutual funds, and they'll have less risk than the stock market itself. But the problem is if a stock mutual fund is invested, it's invested in stocks, so it's not going to be necessarily a lot less risky. So if she's had a lot of losses, she probably has significant risk. When we do a risk analysis that shows what happens if someone had their same portfolio in 2008, typically they're going to have losses of anywhere from 30 up to 60%, with the average probably being right about 45% from what we see right now. And they usually think they're paying about 1% in fees, but when we do analysis, they could be paying a lot more in fees.
Well, that's the key. We do analysis for every single client before we even get into the income planning side of it. And the analysis is done through third-party companies that we work with that allows us to determine how much risk each client has in their portfolio, which is usually shocking to clients, and also what the fees are paying. Not only the visible fees that you're paying your advisor, which you might know or might not know, but the invisible fees that most people don't understand that are in portfolios, which are mutual fund fees, trading costs, etc.
Exactly. Well, and those fees can eat away at your portfolio just like a big loss can. And the key, we think always, is having everything in writing. Make sure you have a written plan that'll show your income for the rest of your life, each year, where each income source comes from, shows your taxes, shows your risk, which would help her, shows your fees in writing that would help her, shows how much money you possibly can leave your beneficiaries, and shows your taxes. It shows everything you need. So I think Holly had good questions, and I think with a plan, all of her issues can be answered properly.
Exactly.
So, great show this week, and if anybody out there has questions, feel free, give us a call. We'd be glad to answer them. You also can go to our website and get some great information and contact us that way.
Thanks, guys. That was some great information. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Jim Files, CEO Peak Financial, your local resource for retirement and investment planning, acting as fiduciaries for advisory clients. We're offering you a free, worry-free retirement roadmap, including a 15-minute initial call, a face-to-face meeting, a second opinion about your money, a customized retirement income plan, our Amazon best-selling book. You can walk away and keep it all free, no pressure, no obligation, guaranteed. There's no risk and there's no cost. Call now.
You're watching the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan, Sacramento's retirement television.
Many retirees and people who are planning to retire worry about their money so much that many can't even sleep. And with the abundance of differing opinions out there, there isn't any clear guidance. Today on Peak University, Dan and Jim are going to discuss how they can help alleviate some of that worry.
Thanks, Mark. You know, sleepless nights, unfortunately, end up being normal for retirees and pre-retires when you're talking about money. And we ask the viewers right now, why are you watching right now? Well, it could be that you couldn't sleep, and it also could be that you're worrying about your money. And Jim, we really think that's why people tune into this show or listen to our radio show or come to our seminars or go to our website, is because they're worrying about their money.
Yeah, because whether you're retired or soon to be retired, you're worrying about it. And if you're retired, you're not making a salary any longer. And you don't know how to replace those paychecks with income off of your assets. You're not saving any longer. You're not making contributions to your 401k plan. You don't have time to make up losses in the market because that'll affect your income and your stress level. And you worry whether or not you have enough saved. And whether you have $1 million or $10 million, it doesn't really matter. Everybody, Dan, worries about these items.
Exactly. And it doesn't matter how much they have, like you just said, because what they have is their money.
Yes.
And that's what's going to be based on what their lifestyle is going to be. And it really comes down to, we feel that people worry about their money because their simplest questions about retirement have never, ever been answered for them. Even worse, they've never been put in writing. So those answers to their questions have never been put in writing. Just a lot of verbal promises, which you can't base your retirement plans on verbal promises. So there's questions that you have to be able to answer to have a successful retirement, such as, when can I retire? Or if I've already retired, should I have retired? Second, do I have enough money saved? Do I have enough right now? Have I hit my magic number? Or am I far away from when I can retire? How about, can I guarantee I won't run out of money? Make sure that I always have income coming in for as long as I live. How much can I safely withdraw from my assets? I have this pile of assets. Now, how much can I take out of it without having to worry about it running out? How long is my money going to last? Is it going to end before I end? And I don't want my money to run out. I want to make sure it lasts forever. How much will I lose in the next stock market crash? And when you have little blips in the market, like 5, 10, 15, and 20%, that's not a crash. When we have a crash, it's like 2000 to 2002 or 2007 to 2009 when we lost over 50% in the stock market. How much will you lose? Can I protect my assets from these types of losses to make sure I do have a better chance of succeeding during retirement? How much tax will I pay? How much income tax will I pay when I start drawing my money out for retirement? Can I reduce my fees? And by the way, what in the heck am I actually paying in fees, because I have no idea? Can I start spending some of my money that I saved? I've saved it for the last 20, 30, 40 years, so I could get to a point where I feel comfortable spending it. Can I actually start spending it? What's going to happen if my spouse or I pass away? Will the survivor be financially secure from that point on? And after we use our assets for income that give us a really wonderful retirement, can we potentially leave some of our money to our beneficiaries? Now, everyone watching has one or all of those questions that have gone unanswered. And if you have these questions unanswered and you're in retirement or getting ready to plan for retirement, it means you're hoping you're going to get lucky, and your entire future is based on hope and luck. And you do not want to base your entire future on hope and luck, Jim.
You know, Dan, these are so important. All of these points are not only important to understand, but unless you have these in writing, very specific to every client's case, how can you navigate through retirement successfully? I don't think you can.
You really can't. That's why we came up with There's ways so you can stop worrying about your money, which is key. And Jim, that's why we created the 7 rules to live by for retirement security, an actual financial roadmap that if people follow these 7 simple rules, they will all have a higher probability of success during retirement. And don't we all want that, a higher probability? So why don't you cover these for the viewers?
Yes, number one, avoid large losses. And on another segment, we're going to talk about how to do this. We have what is called the 5 to 10% rule, which is our golden rule, making sure that your risk factor is no more than 10%, ideally between 4 and 6%. And what that means, Dan, if the market drops by 50%, you're only going to go down by 5 to 10%, so you can control those costs. Number 2, minimize your fees. We can't get you out of fees. There's fees on Wall Street, there's fees in the advisory business, but you need to understand your fees and making sure there's value for those fees that you're getting from your advisory firm. Number 3, reduce your volatility, which is risk. That's very important in retirement because if you have too much volatility, besides stress, you're losing money. Number 4, earn a reasonable rate of return. Don't try to hit a home run. We're hitting singles and doubles for retirement. We want to make sure we have a successful retirement and we don't take big risk. Number 5, manage your taxation. Make sure your taxation is efficient on how you're drawing income off your assets. Understand how to do that, and there still are tax planning things that you can do to make that as efficiently as possible. Number 6, which is super important, because everybody, Dan, has saved the money for income, and you have 2 choices. You can generate what we call certain income from your assets that will be there for as long as you live, or you can generate what is called maybe income, which is income off your portfolio, which can go up or down. And lastly, Dan, probably the most important, and I'm going to let you take this one over, is having a retirement income plan before you invest $1 of your money.
I think what you just said is the most important part. Have the plan before you invest your money. How many of you have invested the money and then never have gotten a plan? Probably 99.9% of you. That's why you never got a plan, because you gave the advisor the money before you got the plan. Get the plan before you invest your money. And it's the most important document, because that document will spell out in writing how much risk you have. Do you have right now how much risk you could lose if the market crashes in writing? Probably not. Your fees in writing, all those things. But the most important thing is going to be now documenting where all your income is going to come from for the rest of your life. How about being able to see every year where each source of income comes, and it's going to last for the next 30 years? How about being able to see in writing how much tax you're going to pay and what your net income is after paying the taxes? How about being able to show how much you're going to leave to your beneficiaries? All these things in writing makes it far easier for people to understand their money and feel comfortable that their retirement is going to be a complete success, Jim.
That's right, Dan. That's exactly right.
Back to you, Mark.
Thanks, guys. The 7 rules really do give people a roadmap for retirement success. It makes it a lot simpler. If this is something you would like to learn more about, give us a call in the office right now at 916-452-7325 or go to our website.
You're watching the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan, Sacramento's retirement television.
Thank you for watching this week's show.
And if you want more information about anything we talked about here today, give us a call in the office or go to our website.
And remember, at Peak Financial Freedom Group, we fix your money.
The preceding program is sponsored by Peak Financial Freedom Group.